Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're breaking down a really crucial relationship, the one between our economy and the natural world. We're going to take some of these dense textbook concepts and translate them into a clear, urgent narrative. We're essentially unpacking the foundation of how our civilization interacts with the planet, and why the path we're currently on, well, it requires a massive rethink. Let's get right into it.
Okay, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The environment's 4 functions. 2. The global tipping point. 3. India's environmental dichotomy. 4. Land degradation and pollution. 5. Fighting back, from EPICO to the CPCB. And 6. The path to sustainability. Section 1. The environment's 4 functions, establishing the rules of the game. You know, before we can truly understand our current crisis, we have to look at how nature actually operates on its own. The environment acts as our ultimate provider, seamlessly performing 4 vital functions, at least as long as human demand doesn't totally overwhelm it. First up, it supplies resources. That means renewable ones like forests, and non-renewable ones like fossil fuels. Second, it literally assimilates our waste. It just absorbs it. Third, it sustains life by maintaining genetic and biodiversity. And finally, it provides aesthetic services, basically the beautiful scenery we all love. Left alone, the environment balances these 4 pillars perfectly. But here's the catch, and it's a concept called absorptive capacity. This is the environment's ability to absorb degradation. It is the exact limit of what the Earth can take. When our extraction of resources goes way beyond the rate of regeneration, or when our waste completely overflows this absorptive capacity, the environment actually fails to perform its 3rd function, sustaining life. And that failure, that leads us straight into the crisis we're looking at today. Section 2. The global tipping point, the supply-demand reversal. So, how did humanity essentially break the rules we just talked about? Well, we've experienced a massive paradigm shift. Think about the past. Resource supply comfortably exceeded human demand. Whatever pollution early civilizations created was easily handled by the environment's absorptive capacity. But present day? Totally different story. Thanks to huge population explosions and the Industrial Revolution, demand now severely exceeds the rate of resource regeneration. We're facing a massive economic deficit here. We've completely flipped the equation. To really picture the global impact of this overuse, look at this. Atmospheric concentrations of carbon dioxide have surged by 31% since pre-industrial levels. 31%! This is a direct result of burning fossil fuels and rapid deforestation, which traps heat right in our atmosphere. And it gets crazier. Methane concentrations have skyrocketed by 149%. Together with CO2, this is driving a human-induced global warming crisis that's literally melting polar ice, raising sea levels, and disrupting the exact ecosystems we need to survive. Moving on to Section 3, India's environmental dichotomy, a tale of 2 crises. Let's zoom in and see how this global tipping point plays out specifically in India. Just look at this stark contrast. On one side, we have pristine, unpolluted Himalayan streams. It's a beautiful reminder of the natural wealth India holds. But on the other side, we have the Damodar River, which heavy industries have unfortunately turned into a complete ecological disaster. It is a very stark reminder of what we stand to lose if rapid development goes totally unchecked. You see, India faces a very unique dichotomy. It's simultaneously battling 2 massive forces. On one hand, you have poverty-induced degradation, where people are literally forced to over-extract resources out of basic necessity, like indiscriminately chopping down trees just for fuel wood so they can survive. On the other hand, you have affluence-induced pollution, that's severe environmental damage caused by a rapidly growing industrial sector and rising affluent consumption standards. It's a really difficult balancing act when the environment is under attack from both sheer economic necessity and growing economic wealth. Section 4. Land degradation and pollution, the ground reality. Let's drill down into the specific numbers and causes sweeping across the country. Think about this for a second. India supports about 17% of the world's human population and 20% of its livestock, all on just 2.5% of the world's geographical area. 2.5! That immense pressure on finite land resources leads to huge swaths of forest being cleared out. And this deforestation, driven by both commercial needs and local survival, triggers a massive domino effect of land degradation, biodegradation loss, and serious air pollution. And the numbers here are just mind-boggling. Because of unstable land use, shifting cultivation, and a lack of soil conservation, soil is being eroded at a rate of 5.3 billion tons every single year in India. 5.3 billion. So what does 5.3 billion tons of eroded soil actually mean in practice? Well, it means we're stripping the earth of absolutely vital agricultural nutrients. It's a massive economic and ecological hit. Every year, we are losing 0.8 million tons of nitrogen, 1.8 million tons of phosphorus, and a whopping 26.3 million tons of potassium. We are literally washing away our own capacity to grow food. Then, factor in the air quality impact from rapid urbanization. The number of motor vehicles has absolutely exploded, going from just 3 lakh back in 1951 to 35 crores in 2022. Because vehicle emissions are ground-level sources of pollution, this explosion has a direct, severe impact on the respiratory health of everyday people. But hey, the story doesn't end with destruction. Section 5, Fighting Back, APICO to CPB, Grassroots and Systemic Responses. Let's look at how Indian citizens and the government are actively fighting back. A brilliant example of grassroots resistance is the APICO movement. Much like the famous Chipko movement in the Himalayas, APICO, which literally translates to hug, started down in Karnataka. Back in 1983, volunteers in the Salkani forest sparked this movement by literally putting their bodies between commercial axes and the trees. They kept a vigil going for 6 whole weeks. This simple, yet incredibly powerful act gave people so much hope. As the quote notes, on that particular incident, with the felling discontinued, the people saved 12,000 trees. 12,000, just by refusing to move. It gave local communities the confidence to protect their natural resources, and it ultimately forced commercial contractors to follow strict environmental rules, like never cutting down trees within 100 meters of a water source. Now, at a systemic level, we can track a timeline of growing environmental awareness. You've got these incredible grassroots movements like APICO in '83, alongside massive institutional shifts, from detecting a 5% reduction in the global ozone layer to international milestones like the UN Conference on Climate Change in Kyoto. And right in the middle of it all, you see the Indian government stepping in proactively, establishing regulatory bodies as early as 1974. Chief among those bodies is the Central Pollution Control Board, or the CPCB, and they tackle these issues head-on. They don't just investigate and disseminate pollution data, they lay down the hard standards for emissions and effluents. They provide technical assistance to state governments, they monitor water quality across 125 major rivers, and they assess industrial air quality. Basically, they're the ones proving that economic development simply cannot go unchecked by environmental regulation. Which brings us to Section 6, the path to sustainability, balancing economy and ecology. How do we move forward without destroying the very earth we rely on? Well, we have to recognize that the environment and the economy are deeply, intrinsically interdependent. We absolutely cannot separate them. Development that ignores its repercussions on the environment is going to destroy the environment that sustains life forms. Recognizing this undeniable fact is the absolute foundation of sustainable development. I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative question straight from our source material today. Think about this. If a factory employs 800 people, but its environmental degradation deprives the daily needs of 1 million locals, is it acceptable? How do we really weigh industrial progress against the survival of the masses? Let that sit with you for a bit. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep asking these tough questions.